Hey, I'm back! Yeah, so anyway, I'm back from vacation, everybody, which I guess don't make it to be easier making videos, because this is my, home environment. This is my habitat, this is my cave, my dungeon, my domain, my den, my, tunnel? I don't know. Anyway, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime has been around since 1998, which is almost 25 years ago, if you count, Season 0, and with multiple sequel series and movies being made to commemorate the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise. But one of the key aspects of every Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime series is its characters. Undoubtedly, the characters of Yu-Gi-Oh! Would really solidified the greatness of the anime to many fans, and that's why I'm making this list. Today, I'll be counting down my top 5 favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Characters of all time. Before I go ahead and start, please be sure to like and subscribe, share it with your friends, and check out Trouble. Check out my DeviantArt and my Twitter. The links are in the description. Alright, let's do this. Number 5 is Hugo from Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. Now, Hugo is a very fun character. One minute you feel sad when he starts talking about his backstory in the Synchro Dimension, and how life was rough and tough because he was he and some other people were at the bottom of the barrel because of the certain laws and requirements. It's very rough, I understand it. But then, next minute, he does something stupidly hilarious, like making Zuzu for his good friend, wink wink, Rin. Hugo also plays a pretty good speed droid deck, and he almost always finds a way to utilize them to his advantage in any situation. I also think that his Clear Wings Synchro Dragon might be my favorite Dimension Dragon out of the 4, because we have Odd Eyes, Dark Rebellion, Starving Venom, and then we have Clear Ring. Yeah. I don't know, I think the white is pretty good for how it symbolizes the Synchro Dimension color scheme. Probably a hot take, probably, but that's just my opinion. Actually, now that I think about it, Hugo was one of the only good defining factors from the Synchro Dimension arc from Arc 5. That and the returning 5Ds characters, as well as some parts of Friendship Cup and the Shinji guy, in my opinion. Maybe the Synchro Dimension arc wasn't so bad, despite being major filler for the most part. Really, they wasted a whole entire season just in this one dimension where they did nothing besides duel each other. It's kind of weird. There's no story-driven thing in this one, in that season. It was just... it was stupid, but it was endearing. It was ironic enjoyment for me. Overall, Hugo is a pretty great character. He's a fun Yu-Gi-Oh! Counterpart and really made the Synchro Dimension arc enjoyable for me. At least, and the least enjoyable. I'm probably the only one who actually likes the Synchro Dimension arc. I don't know. I've seen a lot of people hate it. I don't know why. Alright, bye everybody. Okay, I'm moving on. Why did I say bye? That made no sense. Number 4 is Yuri from Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. Wow, another Yu-Gi-Oh! Counterpart. To be honest, Yuri was really the only villain the Arc 5 really needed. Zark was way too unfair by breaking the rules of his overpowered cards and making him look superior, which he already was, kind of. He didn't really need to go overkill on everybody. Leo Akaba was a huge letdown due to him not doing much after his big reveal, and the Dual Academy students on Obelisk Force kind of suck. They were just punching bags for the main characters to take down. They were basically the NPCs of it was minions they had to fight in those RPG games. That's basically what they were. They were terrible. And at least they were bad dueling wise. If anything, Yuri is the best villain in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! While he's not an evil organization leader or anything, he still works for a superior supervillain and is actually a competent duelist. Not to mention, he has a Predaplan deck, so that's an automatic win in my book. Predaplans are pretty good. Speaking of Predaplans, Yuri dominated everyone with that deck in his palms. As soon as he whipped out his Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, it was practically over from there. His methods of achieving victory with that card were very smart. He used the benefits of his other Predaplan cards to activate their effects when they're not on the field, using Predator counters when it gets sent to the graveyard or whatever, and everything to make him achieve victory in less than 5 turns. Not only is Yuri a great duelist with his own deck competitively, but he's also very capable of adapting his playstyle with other decks. In some duels, he used the generic Ancient Gear structure deck that was used by a lot of elite Dual Academy students in Arc 5. I almost hit the microphone. I think I hit the microphone. While a lot of other Dual Academy students lost to major Yu-Gi-Oh! Characters with that deck, because they're trash, Yuri really excelled at using that deck to defeat big duelists like Sora Percy and Alexis Rhodes, the Arc 5 counterpart to Alexis Rhodes, not the canon Alexis Rhodes. Yeah. The only time that Yuri actually physically lost a duel with no technicalities or anything, was against Yugioh. He was literally about to transform into, Zark. So it felt a little sentimental to have the villain Yuri fall to the next big villain of the last arc in Arc 5. Even if Zark wasn't that good of a villain, he's like way too powerful. He's like a super god. I kind of don't want to go down that road when I incorporate like the Herald of Dimensions into my Yu-Gi-Oh series. It's on Dave Nart, so go check it out. Next episode coming pretty soon. Yeah, so where am I? Yeah, so overall, Yuri is a great character. His malicious intentions are interesting, and his major aspects are what really make him shine as a Yu-Gi-Oh villain. Definitely the best, in my opinion. Number 3 is Crow Hogan from Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. I think most of us can agree that Crow is one of the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Companions in the entire series. Besides, like, Joey Wheeler or whatever. Crow is both a very good duelist and a very good friend. He plays a very good black and deck and is a good companion to most of the 5Ds cast. He gets along well with Yusei. He has a friend/enemy rivalry with Jack, and multiple times in both 5Ds and Arc 5 he's shown to care for the the little guys in there. If anything, Crow is a very likable character. Normally, best friend characters are portrayed as just mostly comic relief on top of their dueling skills, but Crow takes both of those to the maximum. He's very good at dueling, even when he came back in Arc 5, and he's also hilariously funny. Is that redundant? Does that seem redundant? Okay, I don't know. Where am I? Like, if I could count all of Crow's, like, funniest moments in 5Ds, it would be more than just the number of fingers that I have on my hands. But, just to name a few... There was this one time that Crow was explaining to Jack the importance of, rent money when the 5Ds game was in financial debt for one arc. Then Carly Carmine, just there and says hi to Crow. And then Crow says hi back in, like, a way like he's never been more noise in his, like, entire life. He goes, like, she goes, hi, Crow, and he goes, hi. it's so stupid, but it's funny, And it doesn't even stop there. In that same scene, Jack gives Crow a bill that totals up to $30, and Crow's reaction to it is just slam the table with his fist in anger. It's hilarious. There's also this one time when Crow was talking about how good he is with mechanics and building stuff, but right as he said that, the table he was sitting at just freaking falls apart. And there was also this one time that Crow just imitated Jack's Cockney accent, and that was utterly hilarious. I can honestly just go on and on about Crow's best moments in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, but we're getting close to 15 minutes, so I better hurry up. But I think you get the picture by now. Crow's a very funny and entertaining character, and he's one of my all-time favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Characters. That's the reason why he's on this list. Crow's a very good companion to, definitely the best companion in, all of, Yu-Gi-Oh! In my opinion. Alright, number 2, Shay Obsidian from Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. Wow, a lot of Arc 5 characters on this list. It should come as no surprise as to why I rank Shay so high. Shay is a very serious, but also endearing character. In the flashbacks where I see his old life in the Xyz dimension, he was living a pretty good life with his sister and best friend. Well, that wasn't until the Fire Nation, I mean Fusion Dimension attacked. With that memory being scarred into his head, all Shay could think about was revenge. With all of this in mind, Shay traveled to the Standard Dimension of Yugioh to hunt down some people who might have knowledge. And to turn some people into cards, but whatever. That's not important. While Yugioh went after Silvio Salvatore and maybe some others off-screen, Shay went on a rampage. Anyone he could defeat in a duel was immediately turned into a card, such as the Leo Institute of Dueling's top teacher, Professor Marco. It's around this point in Arc 5 where Shay has some of his best duels in, ever. After carding Professor Marco, he then faced off against Julie Crystal, Kit Blade, and Dipper Orion in a 3-versus-1 duel. Normally, that would be very unfair since he has a disadvantage, but Shay still managed to defeat them all in a single turn of his Raid Raptor Rise Falcon. Side note about the battle, it was absolutely bonkers. Julia, Dipper, and Kit get almost all their best monsters out in the field in their opening turns, but they still lost. I can't be the only one who likes that duel, because it's really cool, go watch it, it's really awesome. But the Shay train runs on the express line, meaning it never stops, because later in the Arc League Championship, Shay battles Sora for the first time in an epic 2-part episode duel. Everyone loves that duel, and I do too. It tremendously expresses a lot of amazing elements in that one duel. You get to see what Sora is really like under, his candy, child misdemeanor, whatever, cloak. And Shay goes to town on Sora when, like, Sora mocked him from being from the Xyz dimension. If that giant pillar from the end of the duel was real, Sora would have died from Shay's wrath. It's insane. I will say, Shay had some nice duels here and there after this point in Arc 5. He dueled Dennis and got his revenge for Dennis being the catalyst of the invasion of the fusion dimension, and he also dueled Crow, and while he did lose in the end, it was still a very solid duel, and it was a bird battle, so it makes it even better. Not to mention that Shay plays the best Yu-Gi-Oh deck in the flipping world. The only flaw I can really give to Shay is that he mostly resorts to violence when it comes to certain stuff. When he's dueling people that don't really matter to him, he'll just be very chill, such as when he dueled Crow, but when he's dueling someone from the fusion dimension, or someone who is related to the fusion dimension in any way, Shay would make sure that they get the punishment they deserve, regardless. It's cool, but it's mostly uncalled for, especially like when they know absolutely nothing about it. But he still does it regardless. I don't know. Overall, Shay is, but hey, at least we got some good duels out of it. Overall, Shay is definitely one of my all-time favorite Yu-Gi-Oh characters. There's no need to go any farther. I have a feeling that me and Shay would be bros in real life if, like, Yu-Gi-Oh characters real. But who could possibly be better than Shay, I hear you ask? Well, I will tell you right after I list the honorable mentions, because we are almost at 15 minutes. Oh my god. Alright, honorable mentions time. It's just quick. We have Yuga Odo from Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's, really good protagonist. Roman Cassidy, Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's. My favorite female companion or whatever from Yu-Gi-Oh! Because she's the newest one. Kind of like her dueling style, like, and her attitude, Then we have Reginald Shark Castle from Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, good rival and stuff. Like, Kite was kind of emphasized a whole lot, but then, like, later in, like, the Barian arc, like, Shark was brought back, and he had like a really nice arc. We have Yuma Sakuma from Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal. He was a really good protagonist too. Not the best, but like still up there. And last we have Moonshadow from Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. I just like his ninja like style and stuff. Alright, let's move on to number 1. And number 1, we actually have a tie, which is Jaden Yuki from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX and Yusei Fudo from Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. I know I'm kind of cheating by putting 2 characters in number 1, but I find it very hard to favor one over the other, so this will have to suffice for now. Jaden and Yusei are, in my opinion, the 2 best Yu-Gi-Oh! Protagonists. To me, Yugi is unlikable because he cheats all the time, especially when he doesn't have to in the first place. Yuma is a young teenager, so he can kind of be a little rambunctious and a little annoying sometimes. Yugioh relies too much on action cards during duels that hinders his dueling capabilities without them. Like, could you name a single duel that Yugioh won without using any action cards? That's the neat part. You can't. And Yusaku, don't even start it on Yusaku. He's way too serious to the point where it literally becomes a problem for me. I can forgive Yuya for relying too much on action cards, but this is literally frustrating. Up until that one scene where he battled AI or I towards the end of the series, where he cried after the duel, and it's like I faded away. Yusaku showed absolutely no emotion at all up until that point. He was basically a dueling robot. Yuga was a protagonist I would consider very solid, but I haven't caught up with Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s in a while, so I can't really give a good opinion on him. Now, you could say that the intense seriousness from Yusaku would also apply to Yusei and Season 4 GX Jaden as well, but the thing about Yusei and Jaden is that they do seriousness correctly. For one, they have personalities, meaning that they're not metaphorical robots like Yusaku. Not to mention, they aren't serious all the time. Jaden, prior to when he became the Supreme King in Season 3, he was a very fun, loving duelist, and he was kind to everyone he met. Especially like Zane, who just like defeated him for the first time in his life, where am I? Yusei also breaks out of his seriousness sometimes when it comes to friendship and just having to make a fun time. Yusei and Jane aren't the best protagonists just because of their personality, but they also have great dueling skills. While most people don't like how they're practically undefeatable after a certain arc in the series, I kind of don't care. If anything, it just makes me more interested in the dueling variety. For example, Jaden updates his deck basically every season once he got the Neo-Spacians and Elemental Hero Neos, and Yusei can utilize any of his cards to help him win duels. Not to mention that some of their best duels feature them using cards that weren't even theirs in the first place. When Jane dueled Chaz near the end of the GX tournament in Season 2, he used Chaz's old Ojama cards to snap him out of the Society of Light phase. Oh, the line's getting really bad. And when Yusei was trapped in the sector security facility, Yusei dueled this guy by using this old man's cards. Keep in mind that deck came from the same old man who lost to the facility guy just moments before Yusei stepped up. Both of these examples show how the two can be adaptable in any duel, no matter the opponent or the deck they're using. Since Jaden and Yusei are both protagonists, they are the central focus of the major arcs in their respective series of Yu-Gi-Oh! And with all these aforementioned qualities taken into place, that means that both of them qualify as the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Protagonists in my opinion. And for anyone asking, I strongly believe that Jaden defeated Yugi in the final episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX in my opinion. Both Jaden and Yusei are my all-time favorite characters of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise, and there's no changing that. Okay, this is almost 15 minutes, so I better hurry this up. And that's it. Those are my top 5, well, 6 Yu-Gi-Oh! Characters. Now, I would say leave your top 5 favorite characters in the comments below, but if you couldn't tell by now, you can't. So maybe just let me know on Twitter or whatever. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Check out the trouble. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. This is almost 15 minutes. Oh my god.